What's up top 10 fam, hope you're having an awesome day. I'm your host Ayman Hassan and welcome back to another video. Now I've never liked those porcelain dolls. I find them so creepy. Even if they're completely normal and not cursed or haunted, they just look weird. Even as a kid I'd play with Barbies and Bratz, but these old school looking dolls from like the Victorian era were just a hard no from me. And I guess I was right in thinking that because these are the top 10 scary dolls that attacked their owners. Starting us off at number 10 is Daisy. Now I think it's pronounced Daisy. DEISY? Not really sure. So back in November of 2018, Beliz, a woman from Peru, said she owned a doll that was so jealous of her boyfriend that it caused him to leave her. The doll named Daisy was given to her as a Christmas gift and can apparently move by itself and knocks things over whenever it wants. The day after she got her, all of Daisy's hair apparently just fell out somehow. One day Beliz said she suddenly saw a bright light right after her Bible fell off the TV and she just burst into tears. She saw that she was surrounded by shadows and her dad ran over to hug her. When she looked up, her face was covered in cuts supposedly inflicted by Daisy. Her boyfriend decided to leave her because he would feel like he was getting physically beat up every night, and he knew it was because of the doll. Now I personally would get rid of it, but Beliz is too scared to do so, so I feel like someone needs to help her out, you know, come in clutch, get rid of that thing, burn it alive maybe? I don't know. Coming in at number 9 is 2 out of 100. Alabama-based paranormal enthusiast Ashley Nicole Fine has a collection of 100 haunted dolls, 2 of which absolutely despise her boyfriend Philip. Ashley claims the 2 dolls that hate Philip are possessed by 2 women that were murdered by their own boyfriends, and so just the sight of Philip pisses them off, which I mean is fair enough, I get it. If you're killed by a boy, you probably will hate them. I get it. One of the dolls is possessed by a woman called Mirabella and the other one by a woman called Setha. Ashley shared that Mirabella told her that she had been strangled by a jealous lover and then dumped into a lake. The dolls have attacked Philip during the night because he'd wake up with scratches all over his body, and the dolls had moved from where she had kept them, so clearly they were to blame. And they weren't deep bloody scratches by any means, but they were still worrying enough to cause concern. But Ashley has been collecting these dolls since she was 12 and said she would always choose the dolls over any boyfriend she had. Dolls come first, boyfriend comes second. Does Ashley have her priorities right? Let me know in the comments below. At number 8 we have the Colourful Flame. This one was shared by redditor Buddha42, who said her and her husband moved into a fixer-upper house and had to clean out all the previous tenants' crap. They threw out most things but decided to keep this porcelain doll, thinking they could maybe sell it on eBay or something for a few extra bucks. They left her at the back of their walk-in closet, but she started just appearing all over the house. The husband thought the wife was moving it and vice versa, but then one morning they woke up and it was just standing on top of their TV, just looking straight at them. They grabbed it and put it on the kitchen table and went out for a cigarette because obviously they were stressed. They need a stress cigarette. I get it, I've been there. When they came back, she was on top of the fridge, so they were like, oh hell no! They got a hammer and smashed it to pieces, but instead of the pieces flying everywhere and towards the line of impact, they went straight into the couple's face and cut them both. Angry and pissed off now, they took the doll outside, doused her in lighter fluid and lit her on fire. But the fire kept changing colors. It went from pink to blue to green, purple, and all the while they felt like they could hear this high-pitched scream in the back of their minds. When they got back into the house, they found pieces of the doll's face on their bed in the arrangement of her face with their blood on it, despite literally just burning her, including her face pieces. Filling at number 7 slot is Letter. Letter honestly looks really bloody creepy, I'm not even gonna lie to you. He's wearing this silky dark green suit and is the size of a child. He's meant to be 200 years old and is made from real human hair and carved wood. I feel like if he's made from real hair, then obviously the person whose hair that was is still attached to the doll somehow. Like that's just how haunting attachment works. I've done enough top 10s to know that. When it comes in clutch. Either way, Kerry Walton has owned Letter since the 70s when he found him in an abandoned house in Australia. When he brought him home, everything kinda went tits up, expectedly. Like, are we really surprised? No, we're not. Things would start moving, there were scratch marks all over the floor, Kerry's children would have nightmares constantly. One night his daughter woke up screaming, saying Letter had moved on his own, and he had. He was right by her bed. She claimed the doll grabbed her finger with a strength she never imagined and would not let go. And I mean, the bruises on her finger explained it all. Say no more, I believe you. Get rid of that. Now at number 6 is the China doll. Now back in 2017 there was a major bidding war going on eBay over a haunted China doll. Debbie Merrick, the initial owner of the doll, shared on ITV that the doll would set off her fire alarm, take off her own necklace, and would scratch her partner any chance she got. Now Lee Steer managed to win with his bid of £866 and the doll was soon shipped to him. First of all, who the hell would pay that much for a doll? Like, no. But after 2 days of being in the same house with her, Lee's father woke up with scratches all over his arms, very similar to those inflicted on Debbie's partner. The scratches seemed to be the same size as the doll's hand, despite the fact they hadn't even unboxed her yet. Lee said since she's been in the house, he's been hearing weird noises and things keep breaking despite no one actually being behind them breaking. What's happening? Coming in at number 5 is Charlie. Now this doll was discovered in the attic of a Victorian home in New York back in 1986. The doll named Charlie was locked in a trunk that dated back to the 30s, and with it came a piece of paper with the Lord's Prayer on it, which, I mean, if you're finding a doll with a note of scripture, chances are you need to douse it in holy water. Charlie himself is yellowed from age, one of his eyes has rubbed off, and he low-key looks like he's wearing a straitjacket, and I'm pretty sure that wasn't for fashion. Now family ended up getting the doll and placed it on display along with their other ones. However, mere days after they got him, he started swapping positions and knocking the other toys off the shelf. The youngest daughter of the family claimed Charlie would speak to her at night, but the parents dismissed it. Well, they dismissed it until she woke up one day with deep slashes all over her body, and then they were like, maybe she's not bullshitting after all, maybe we should listen to her. They locked the doll up in their attic after that, and then donated it to an oddity shop in Salem, so you can visit it if you want, but why would you? At number 4 is Isla de las Muñecas, or the Island of the Dolls. Now this island is just south of Mexico City and it has quite the story. Don Julian Santana Barrera was the caretaker of the island, and one day he found a little girl drowned in the water. He had no idea how she had died and was unable to save her. A few hours later, he saw a doll floating near the canal which he assumed was most likely that girl's. Out of respect for the girl, he took the doll and hung it on one of the trees on the island, and that's how it all began. Now after that point, it's said that Julian started getting haunted by the girl, and in an attempt to appease her spirit, he started hanging more dolls around the island. Those close to Julian said he changed after that period. It's like an unseen force started driving him to make these dolls his life. After 50 years of collecting dolls and hanging them, Julian was found drowned in the exact same place he had found that girl's body 50 years prior. Now many believe Julian made up the story in his solitude, but I highly doubt that. That's very inventive if he did. People believe the spirit of the girl, Julian, and the dolls heavily haunt and protect the island. Many have seen the dolls move and have heard whispers coming from them, and most believe it was the original first doll that drove both Julian and the girl to drown. Filling our number 3 slot is the German doll. Now this one was shared by Paranormal Alien 85 on Reddit, who said she had bought a doll from her daughter, not knowing its origins came from Germany in the 40s. As in right smack dab in the middle of World War II, so that's not ideal. When the doll finally came, she looked harmless enough, but that very same night, the mum had a very vivid dream. She and her partner saw their daughter and sister stuck inside a Nazi concentration camp, and despite seeing them, they just couldn't do anything to save them. The daughter also happened to be holding the doll in her hand, even though that probably wouldn't have happened in real life. I highly doubt they were allowed any toys in the camps. Let alone, they probably weren't even allowed to smile or laugh, really. Either way, her boyfriend somehow tripped on something while running away from the camp, and his eye popped out of his socket. Like the user remembered it dangling from the socket in vivid detail. When they woke up the next morning, the user's partner woke up with a bloody eye. How? No one knows, but I'm guessing it's the doll. Now at number 2 is Annabelle. Yes, she is a real possessed doll. The movie was based on a true story, which makes it that much more terrifying. But the real story takes place in the year 1970 when a mum bought her daughter a Raggedy Ann doll from an antique store. The daughter put the doll in her bed and just left her there. But soon enough, the doll started changing position, and initially they thought it was because the bed was being nudged by a roommate, but they very quickly changed their minds. Annabelle would change rooms and leave notes around the house which read "Help Lou" and "Help Me." They lived in a home with other people, and the doll even strangled one of the housemates' fiancés in his bed. The last straw was when they came home one night to discover the doll covered in blood. Whose blood? Who the hell knows? The duo called an expert who told them the spirit of the doll was called Annabelle, and that she was a 7-year-old girl that was murdered years beforehand and was just left to rot in a field where the apartment now currently stood. The apartment in which they lived. The spirit told the expert medium it wanted to stay and be loved, and so the housemates decided to keep it. Not knowing that there was no little girl inside of it, it was just in fact a demon with behavioral problems. Very different to a little girl that had been murdered. Stark difference. And finally, at number 1 is the roommate. This one comes from Reddit user KKHoliday07, who said their college roommate's sister decided to buy a haunted doll off the internet. And she was fully aware that it could be a complete hoax, and that was honestly what she was expecting, so when the reality was so different, she was shocked. As soon as she got the doll, things around her house were never the same. She started having intense violent nightmares, her dog started throwing up blood despite the vet saying he was completely healthy and normal, and the girl started hearing voices that would tell her to harm herself, and she ended up being admitted into a mental institution and is still there 8 years later, all because of this one purchase. And that's it for today's video, guys. See, dolls are literally never a good idea. I freaking told you that at the beginning. I'm not trying to get scratched, I'm not trying to hear things, I'm not trying to do any of that. Let me know what you guys thought below. As always, I'm your host Ayman Hassan, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. The doll named Daisy, is it what? Probably Daisy. Right? One day Belis said she suddenly. They left her at the back of their walk-in closet. They left her at the back of their walk-in closet, but she started noticing. Lee Steer managed to win with his bid of 860. At number 4 is Isla de la Muñecas. At number 4 is Isla de las 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 Muñecas. Or the Island of Dolls, or the